Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Choral Music Central, where we take a look at some of the internet's greatest choral music performances. So we've been looking at Voces 8, and today we're going to be looking at Pentatonix. Now, this is not the first time that I've reacted to Hallelujah performed by Pentatonix, but it's the first time on this channel. A few years ago on my main channel, Nick Higgs, the singer, I did react to this video, but I'm older, I'm wiser, and I think I'm a little bit better at articulating some of my thoughts, and maybe I have some new thoughts and perspectives to add. So let's dive right in. And by the way, if you want your recommendations to get bumped up to the top of the list, check out Buy Me a Coffee and check out Patreon. If you want to support me as a creator, get more behind the scenes footage, those are the places to go. So here we go.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hallelujah, Well, your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof, her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to the kitchen chair, she broke your throat and she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Let me pause right there. Kirsten's solo part, I think, is coming up right now. So we'll talk about the first two, and then we'll continue on. I'll be brief. So the word hallelujah, one of the hardest words to sing. Everybody sings it slightly differently. And Scott and Avi sang it slightly differently. Scott's was more hallelujah. Avi's was more hallelujah. So brighter versus ah. So every time I've reacted to any version of hallelujah, there's been quite a few, there's been a discrepancy in what that initial A vowel actually is. One thing that Pentatonix does really well is they can build the sound up from the bottom. So when Scott sings his solo, it's very speech-like. It's got a bit of vocal fry in it. I heard there was a secret chord. Kind of breathy at times. And then as it goes along, he gets a bit more sound and gets a bit more intense. And the other singers around him start to build it and build it. Same thing happened with Avi Kaplan. He comes in, he sings a solo, matches the same quality of Scott, and then builds it up, and the rest of the ensemble comes with him. So that's a really nice way to build consistency and sort of continuity with each verse. You start kind of slower and a bit softer and a bit raspier. No, raspier is kind of the wrong word, but just a bit softer, a little more vocal fry-y, and then you build it up. Let's see what Kirsten's gonna do.
Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. And love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
Yep. I'll say this over and over again with Pentatonix is that the arrangements and the mixing of their music plays such a huge factor in their success. Here's what I mean by that. So I've heard, because I've never seen them live before, but I've heard Pentatonix are unbelievably good live. They're so, so good. They sound exactly like they do in the album. And the reason for that, well, first and foremost, incredibly gifted and hardworking musicians. Like they're actual singers. They're not just sort of faking it. They can actually sing. They can actually blend. They are choral music professionals, and that's why it works. Now, the arrangement, so how the song is put together, like somebody on their team, and they have a couple songwriters, a couple of arrangers, they put this together. And what they do so well is they showcase all of the singers, not just one. Sometimes somebody will have a solo and they kind of are featured on the piece a little bit more than the others, but for the most part, it's really balanced. And that is really brilliant because it allows everybody to have their moment. And if you like a particular singer more than the others, you get a chance to hear them all the time. Now, the other thing that I said was the mix. So how it's all recorded together and how it's done in the computer pays homage, I think, and brings out the best in the arrangement. Because even listening to that, panning left to right, I can hear the different voices. I can hear Scott. I can hear Mitch. I can hear all the different voices coming through pretty much all the time. And that's not an easy thing to do. And I think other groups like Voice Play and Home Free and those kinds of groups, they all strive to find that as well. That's a big task and a big goal for them, is to have an arrangement that showcases everyone in a nice way, in a pleasing way. So things changed slightly for solo number 3, or we could maybe call it verse 3. The first 2 started off really soft with a bit of that breathiness and a bit of raspiness, almost speech-like. Now we get here, and Kirsten has a really great ability to belt, and she's got an incredibly clear voice. So what they elected to do for verse 3 was, let's start with a little bit more energy. We'll bring up the beatbox a little bit, and we'll bring up her voice as well, so that we've got a little bit more energy, because later on when Mitch sings, we're back to that softness. See if you can hear that.
Baby, I've been here before. I've seen this room and I've walked this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. And love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause it right there. So you can see how her voice really does a good job of that higher sound. It's clear as a bell. So they say, why don't we just take advantage of that? And why don't we just let it rip a little bit? It's not the most intense I've ever heard her sing, but it's higher and it's got a little bit more volume. Now we get here and we're gonna bring it back down to that softer sound, just to give us a big clash, a big sort of contrast immediately. We had small, and then we had small, but it was a little bit bigger. And then we had a bigger verse, and now we're back to that small. We can hear that right here.
There's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not somebody who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah.
Yeah, you hear that with Mitch's version. It started off slow, but then what's different from all the rest is we had a big crescendo all the way through, and then we've led up to something different coming up. So Pentatonix, again, they do a great job of sort of subverting our expectations a little bit, giving us something that we didn't fully expect to happen, but it always sounds good, so it doesn't really matter.
Hallelujah.
So they also do a good job of in the video, and I'll look at some live performances too if I can. There's not too many on YouTube. If you can find some, put them in the comments below. But they do a good job in the video of showing whoever's coming out in the mix. Like there was a moment where his voice came out a little bit more, so they showed him. So not only visually do you sort of connect with his voice more, but they turn him up a little bit so you can hear more of that. Let's hear them finish it off. And we end the piece just sort of fading away. And with a song like this, Hallelujah, there's huge debate on the internet, and we're not going to get into it now, whether it's a religious piece or if it's not. Some people strongly believe that it is. Some people strongly believe that it is not. Doesn't really matter for our purposes in this moment. However, there is a prayer-like style at the very end where it's like 4-part harmony and we just sort of fade away. It's kind of like a hymn. Yeah. And it's brilliant. It's beautiful what Pentatonix does every single time. The arrangement is locked in. It's so good. And every time I listen to them, because as I said, this is my second reaction to this piece performed by Pentatonix. First time on this channel. But every time I find out something a little bit different. I learn a little bit more from them. There's something else that I enjoy that I didn't pick up on the first time. That's why we go back and watch this and listen to this over and over again. And I encourage you to listen with careful and more open ears next time so that you can pick up on some of these things and answer the question, why do I like Pentatonix? Why do I like this version of Hallelujah so much? So that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And if you did, you'll probably enjoy some of the videos that are going to pop up on your screen in just a few moments. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.